There are only a handful of accessible cabins on a ship that carries 4,000 people. A handful. And most folks don't find that out until the good ones are already gone. Not because they did anything wrong. Nobody hands you the manual for this. The wheelchair assist at the pier is free. The scooter can meet you at your cabin door. The accessible shore tours exist, but only if you know the words to ask and the window to ask them in. I spent years watching this from the crew side of that gangway. 12 things the cruise lines never quite get around to explaining. Do them right, and the ship becomes one of the easiest ways on Earth to travel. And number 12 is the one I'd fight for the hardest. It decides how your very last morning on board actually goes. Secret number 1, the cabin that sells out first. Let's start with the one that costs people the whole trip before it begins. A giant ship might carry 4,000 guests and have only 20 or 30 cabins built for a wheelchair. Do the math, and it's a rounding error. Those rooms have the wide doorway, the roll-in shower, the grab bars, the space to actually turn around. And they get booked first, often a year or more ahead, while the deal hunters are still waiting for a price drop. Wait for the sale, and the sale might cost you the only room you can use. I watched this at the booking desk more times than I can count. One couple booked their accessible cabin 11 months out and never thought about it again. Another waited for a flash deal, got the deal, lost the cabin, and spent the cruise in a room where the scooter lived in the hallway. Same ship, one relaxed week, 1 week of turning sideways. Your defense? Book the accessible cabin as early as you possibly can. Treat the room as the deal, not the price. Call the line directly and have them tag the booking with your mobility need in writing. If your sailing shows none left, ask to be waitlisted and check other dates. Inventory opens up. Magic phrase, I need a fully accessible stateroom and I'd like it noted on my reservation. Book the room and you're halfway there, but book the wrong kind and you've got a whole new problem waiting in the bathroom. Secret number 2, the 3 cabins that all say accessible. Here's where the website quietly trips people up. Accessible isn't one thing. It's usually 3, and they are not the same room. A fully accessible cabin has the roll-in shower and the turning space for a wheelchair. An ambulatory accessible cabin is for someone who can walk a few steps but needs grab bars. It often has a step or a tub, which is a real problem on wheels. And a modified or single-side approach room splits the difference. Book the wrong one, and you're staring at a bathroom you can't get into. I sat with a gentleman once who'd booked what the site called accessible. It was the ambulatory kind, grab bars, but a lip on the shower his chair couldn't clear. The couple next door had the roll-in shower and never gave it a thought. Same hallway, 2 very different mornings. Your defense? Ask for the exact category name, not just the word accessible. If you use a wheelchair full-time, confirm the words roll-in shower out loud before you pay. Get the confirmation in an email so there's no debate at check-in. Magic phrase, is this a fully accessible cabin with a roll-in shower or ambulatory only? Now, the room's sorted and you haven't even reached the pier yet, where the next secret is sitting there completely free. Secret number 3, the free ride nobody offers you. This one genuinely bothers me because it's free and hardly anyone's told about it. Every major cruise line will get you from the terminal door onto that ship in a wheelchair, at no charge. They just don't advertise it, so people assume they have to tough it out through a very long building. Cruise terminals are big. The walk from curb to cabin can be a quarter mile with a line in the middle. Wheelchair assistance at embarkation and debarkation is a standard courtesy. You ask, someone comes, and you skip most of that hike. I watched 2 travelers arrive within a minute of each other. One asked at the door and rolled straight through in comfort. The other didn't know to ask and was worn out before lunch on day 1. Same terminal. One started the cruise rested, one started it wiped. Your defense. Request wheelchair assistance when you book and again at the terminal entrance. Look for the guest with disabilities or assistance sign near the door, or just ask any port staffer. Tip the helper if you'd like, but the service itself costs nothing. Magic phrase, I'd like to request wheelchair assistance to board, please. Speaking of that scooter, there's a rule about where it sleeps at night, and it quietly decides which cabin you're even allowed to book. Secret number 4, the hallway rule that picks your room. Nobody mentions this one until a crew member is knocking on your door about it. Your scooter or wheelchair cannot live in the hallway overnight. It's not the cruise line being fussy, it's fire and safety law at sea. Those corridors are escape routes, and a parked scooter is a blocked one, so the device has to fit inside your cabin. And a standard cabin doorway is often too narrow, with no floor space to spare. That single rule is exactly why the accessible cabin isn't a luxury. It's the only room that fits the thing you arrived with. I saw a lovely couple learn this the hard way. Standard cabin, big scooter, nowhere to put it, so it sat in the hall until security asked them to move it nightly. The folks in the accessible room parked theirs inside and forgot it was ever a question. Same ship. One played musical chairs with a scooter, one just slept. Your defense? Never plan to store a mobility device in the corridor. It will be flagged. Measure your scooter and confirm it fits through the cabin door and stows inside. If it doesn't fit a standard room, that settles it. You need the accessible cabin. The device has to get there in the first place, though, and flying it is the hard way. There's a much easier one. Secret number 5. Let the scooter meet you at the door. Here's a little bit of magic most first-timers never hear about. You don't have to drag your own scooter through 3 airports to go cruising. You can rent one that's waiting in your cabin when you arrive and picked up after you leave. A couple of well-known companies specialize in this at the big U.S. ports. They deliver the scooter or wheelchair straight to your stateroom, cleared with the cruise line, and collect it at the end. No wrestling it through security, no worrying it gets damaged in a cargo hold. I remember a woman who'd always left her scooter home because flying with it was a nightmare. She rented one to the cabin instead. It was charged and waiting when she walked in. Her friend hauled her own from the airport and spent an hour tracking down a lost part. Same sailing, one glided on, one filed a claim. Your defense? Look into cabin delivery rental for scooters and wheelchairs if you sail from a major port. Book it early and give them your ship, sailing date, and cabin number. Always tell the cruise line's access team what device is coming aboard. Magic phrase. Can you deliver the scooter to my stateroom and collect it after the cruise? Now, the harder truth, because the ship is smooth, but not every island lets you off the way you'd expect. Secret number 6, the port that won't let you ashore. This is the one almost nobody sees coming, and it's the reason I put it right in the middle. At some stops, the ship doesn't tie up to a dock. It anchors out, and small boats called tenders ferry you in. And a tender is where a wheelchair or scooter can get stopped. Those little boats bob and shift with the water. If the crew judges the transfer unsafe, or the boat can't take a scooter, they can decline to take you ashore for your own safety. It's not personal and it's not spite, but it can turn a bucket list island into a day watching it from the rail. The fix is simply knowing before you book. I stood with a gentleman who'd waited years for one particular island. A tender port, rough morning, no safe transfer. The couple sailing the docked itinerary next to his rolled right off onto the pier. Same ocean. One got the island, one got a very nice photo of it. Your defense, check your itinerary for the word tender or anchor before you book. Favor docked ports. Ask the access team, per port, whether they can transfer your specific device. Have a relaxed backup plan for tender days so a no doesn't sink the mood. Magic phrase, which of these ports are tender ports and can you transfer my scooter? Back on board, there's a drill on day 1 that has people standing in a crowd for no reason, and you may not have to. Quick one before we roll on. These 12 secrets are the mobility side of cruising. Everything else, the quiet moves for booking, boarding, dining, and tipping smarter after 60, lives in one simple guide I put together. The Confident Cruiser's Playbook. It's the cheat sheet I wish someone had handed me on my very first cruise. Take a look below. It's helped a lot of folks sail calmer and keep more in their pocket. Secret number 7. The drill you can do sitting down. Here's something the welcome sheet won't spell out. The safety drill on the first day used to mean standing shoulder to shoulder in a crowd. And for a lot of people, that's the hardest 20 minutes of the trip. It doesn't have to be. Most lines now run the drill through the app or at your own pace. You check in at your station whenever it suits you. And if standing or crowds are tough, the crew will absolutely accommodate you. You are allowed to ask. That's not you being difficult. That's the system working the way it's meant to. I watched a woman brace herself for the old crowded muster, dreading it. A crew member quietly walked her through it, seated in 2 minutes, done. The folks who didn't ask stood packed in for the full length of it. Same drill, one comfortable, one enduring it. Your defense, ask guest services how the muster drill works and how to complete it seated. Do the app or self-paced check-in early so it's off your plate. Tell them at check-in if crowds or standing are a problem. They've heard it before. Magic phrase, how can I complete the muster drill without standing in the crowd? The ship's handled, but those shore tours marked accessible deserve a much closer look than most people give them. Secret number 8. When accessible tour has 3 steps. I'll be honest, this word gets stretched more than any other in the brochure. An excursion labeled accessible can still involve a step up into a bus, a cobblestone hill, or a stretch you're expected to walk. Accessible is not a promise. It's an invitation to ask harder questions. The genuinely accessible tours, lift-equipped vehicles, step-free routes are limited, and they book out fast. The rest hide the catch in fine print most people skim. 10 minutes of questions before you pay saves you a very frustrating morning at the curb. I met a couple who booked the Accessible City Tour and found a coach with 3 steps and no lift. Another pair had called ahead, confirmed a ramped vehicle, and sailed through the day. Same port, same word on the brochure. 2 completely different afternoons. Your defense, never trust the label alone. Ask exactly what accessible means for that specific tour. Confirm lift-equipped transport, step-free paths, and how much walking is really involved. Book accessible excursions early and consider a trusted private operator when the ship's options are thin. Magic phrase, is the vehicle lift-equipped and is the route truly step-free? Now, a lot of folks assume the law has their back on all of this, and here's the part that surprises them. Secret number 9, why the law stops at the gangway. This one catches even careful people off guard. You might assume the same accessibility laws that protect you on land follow you onto the ship. Mostly, they don't, and it's worth understanding why. Almost every cruise ship flies a foreign flag, even sailing from U.S. ports. Courts have said some U.S. accessibility rules reach ships in U.S. waters, but the protections are thinner than on shore, and a lot of the ship's design is exempt. That's not a reason to stay home. It's a reason to confirm everything yourself instead of assuming a rule will cover you. On a cruise, your best protection isn't the law. It's the question you asked before you booked. I watched a sharp traveler assume an accessible detail was required by law and skip confirming it. It wasn't required, and it wasn't there. The guest who confirmed it in writing got exactly what she needed. Same ship, one relied on the rule book, one relied on the email. Your defense, don't assume land accessibility laws fully apply at sea. Confirm each need directly. Get every important accommodation promised in writing from the access team. Keep that confirmation with your travel documents in case anything's questioned. The paperwork matters even more for anything medical you're bringing. And that's the next quiet secret. Secret number 10. The medical gear you can just bring. Here's some good news for a change. If you travel with oxygen, a CPAP, or other medical equipment, you can almost always bring it aboard. The catch is a phone call, not a rule. The cruise line's access team needs to know in advance what you're bringing. Tell them early and they'll note it, make room for it, and sort the details. Many lines will even leave distilled water in your cabin for a CPAP if you ask when you book. A small thing that saves a real headache. I remember a man who nearly canceled, sure his CPAP would be a problem. One call to the access desk and it was arranged. Water waiting in the cabin and all. His neighbor never called, assumed it'd be fine, and spent the first night improvising. Same equipment, one handled in advance, one scrambling at midnight. Your defense, notify the cruise line special access team about any medical equipment well before you sail. Ask them to note oxygen or a CPAP and to leave distilled water in the cabin if you need it. Carry your equipment and a little backup supply in your hand luggage, never checked. Magic phrase, I use a CPAP. Can you note it and leave distilled water in my cabin? There's one more piece before the biggest secret of all, and it's about how you get on board on day 1. Secret number 11, the line you don't have to stand in. Embarkation day is a crowd sport, and it doesn't have to be yours. Guests who need mobility help can usually board through a smoother, quieter path, but only if it's flagged ahead of time. When your booking is tagged with your accessibility need, the terminal staff are ready for you. That often means an earlier or calmer boarding lane, a wheelchair escort, and far less time on your feet in a packed hall. The people who never flagged it stand in the general scrum with everyone else. I watched 2 travelers on the same morning. One had her need noted and was welcomed through a calm side lane with an escort. The other, just as deserving, hadn't flagged it and waited an hour in the crush. Same terminal, one glided in, one gutted it out. Your defense. Make sure your mobility need is on the reservation, not just in your head. Ask about priority or assisted boarding when you check in for the cruise. Arrive within your assigned window so the assistance is staffed and ready. Magic phrase, my booking is noted for mobility assistance. Where do I check in for boarding help? And that brings us to number 12, the one I'd tell my own family to plan for above all the rest. Secret number 12, the last morning nobody prepares you for. This is the one that decides whether your cruise ends calm or ends frazzled. And it's the reason I made this whole video. The last morning, thousands of people all try to leave the ship at once. And if you're not set up for it, that rush is a genuinely hard place to be on wheels. There's a quieter way, and it's yours for the asking. Most lines offer assisted or priority disembarkation. You wait in a calm lounge, and a crew member helps you off after the stampede clears. No fighting the elevator crowd, no being swept along a gangway with 1,000 rolling bags. You leave last, and you leave easy. I watched a couple who'd arranged it sit with coffee while the ship emptied, then roll off in peace. Another pair tried to self-assist in the crush and got separated from their own scooter in the elevator lobby. Same last morning, one a soft landing, one a scramble. Your defense, sign up for assisted or priority disembarkation the day before you leave. Wait in the designated lounge and let the crowd clear before you move. Keep your medication and essentials with you, not packed away in a bag ahead. Magic phrase, I'd like to arrange assisted disembarkation. Where do I wait? So now you know what most travelers only figure out after their first sailing. A cruise isn't the hard trip for someone with mobility trouble. Done right, it's the easy one. But smooth sailing isn't only about getting around the ship. The bigger surprises hide in the perks seniors keep leaving on the table without ever knowing. That's exactly what I'm covering next, and it's on your screen right now. See you on the next one.